My name is Juliette O'Connor and I'm the Children's Research Librarian here at the State Library. I'm responsible for over 100,000 children's books published between the 16th and the 21st centuries. The collection focus is on Australian children's material within that time frame, and what I have today is a few items of a small, short-lived publishing house from the middle of the 20th century in Australia. John Mystery Books is what I've brought to show you, and John Mystery was the pseudonym used by Lester Sinclair, and he created a publishing empire based in Sydney of children's books that were typically quite escapist in their focus. He capitalised on the fact that existing publishing houses were involved in the war effort and were probably diverted from the output that they would normally make. He used cheaper paper. The paper is yellowing in most of these books, and they're primarily soft covered, so the cover of the book is a thicker grade paper rather than being a hardcover book. He had built the Adventure Castle in Sydney. It was on the Illawarra Peninsula, and it was where he invited the children to come and visit him, John Mystery, in his surrounds. So this is where he created the series of books that he published for children. He also wrote to his readers in a Dear Cobber letter that is at the back of usually the inside back cover of his publications, and he would write to his readers encouraging them about the war effort, encouraging them to read and to look forward to further publications in series. He also invited them to send a self-addressed envelope, and he would return the magic beans which he had found in a chest in Adventure Castle, and these beans were from Jack's beanstalk. In reality, his wife would paint those beans different colours, and they represented different emotional aspects of your life, and so that was a way of actually striking up a dialogue with his readers. One of the series that he produced is The Adventures of the Woolley Sisters, and there are a number of separate books in that series. The Woolley Sisters, he explains in the preface to one of the books that he had often wondered why American girls had the adventures of Wizard of Oz and British girls would have the Alice books to pursue the adventures in. But he wondered why there were no Australian girls that had adventures in a fantasy land like that. And he went looking across the Australian countryside, and in a secluded bush environment came across a very inviting house that was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Woolley, and they invited him to stay the evening, and later that evening he met their daughters Pearl and Plain Jane. If anyone is a knitter, they'll know the significance of Pearl and Plain Jane Woolley. They have adventures with Dr. Platypus, Ernie the Emu. They have adventures with Georgie the Giant, and Lester Sinclair, who used the pseudonym John Mystery, claims to have written these stories based on, the idea that he had met them in the Australian bush. The books are a really interesting selection of books, primarily because they were previously overlooked. Bibliographies, if they mention them at all, would say that they were produced on cheap paper and really the content wasn't worth noting. We acquired the Ken Pound collection in 1994, and Ken had a large collection of the John Mystery books. The cataloguer who was working on that collection once we acquired it, there's over 25,000 items, of which the 300 or 400 John Mystery titles were part of that. He wrote an article, and that generated a lot of interest, and the Sinclair family subsequently contacted us, and we now have some archival material associated with the publications as well. So it really represents a previously overlooked collection Australian children's literature, which in our collection we need to show what was published for children over time. And our collection thrust is Australian material, so this actually provides a perspective on the publishing industry in Australia for children that was previously unknown.